When you're coming out of toxic or abusive relationships and you start to interact with people more, which is a step in the healing process, you have to be mindful of the difference between being calm and actually fawning. So if you're not familiar with what fawning is a trauma response, very similar to fight or flight. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. You have freeze or fawn. And fawn is basically a submissive emotional place where you have a lower level of boundaries, lower self-awareness. You may go into like a compliant behaviors of people pleasing. You pretty much are in a state of going along to get along for the sake of peace. Because when you're exposed to trauma and abuse, you're actively trying to avoid that. And so you may find yourself not advocating for yourself or being assertive, but more compliant and just, yes to everything, basically. And so that might actually cause you to feel some calm in your nervous system, because it's like, oh, okay, we're just kind of going with the program. However, that is indeed a trauma response. So we have to be mindful of that, because when you're in abusive relationships, you're kind of used to being compliant because you're trying to avoid conflict. But once you're healing, you understand that you do have a voice and your voice is important. And you also understand that you can advocate for yourself because you know what your unmet needs are. So there is a very fine line between being calm and protecting your peace and being in a fawn emotional response position. So just be careful with that, because if you are not standing firm with your boundaries, you're saying yes to everybody all the time, you're being very compliant even though you really don't want to be, that is a sure sign that you're still in a trauma response. Because some people may bring that out in you and you may not understand. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so calm with this person's making me feel really, really at ease, when really they are putting you in a position to not hold firm to your boundaries or stand up for yourself or advocate for yourself, and actually putting you back in a state of emotional trauma. So just be careful with the fawning versus the calm, because protecting your peace doesn't mean that you sacrifice yourself.